Pastor Hal York, and welcome to Truth in the Trenches. Today we're going to be in Proverbs chapter 28, verse 19, where we read, "He who tills his land will have plenty of food, but he who follows worthless or empty pursuits will have plenty of poverty." Both my grandparents were potato farmers in northern Maine. I spent a lot of time during my teen years working on those farms in varying capacities. But one thing about farming is this: there's a very basic principle. Scripture reaffirms it in several places. You reap what you sow. But the reality is reaping is a lot more exciting than sowing. But if we do not sow properly, we will not reap the harvest we are counting on. And that's what this verse is talking about. That a good farmer does not just sow seed. He prepares the ground in such a way that when the seed is planted, it will have the necessary soil and nourishment to take root and grow. If you watch a farmer, you see him in the field in the spring, and you ask him, "What are you planting?" He says, "I'm not planting anything. I'm plowing. I'm turning over new soil." You see him in the field a few days later. "What are you planting?" "I'm not planting anything. I'm tilling up what I plowed the other day." You see him in the field a few days later. "What are you planting?" "I'm not planting anything. I'm picking up rocks that came to the surface during plowing, rocks that will hinder the seed from taking root." You see him a few days later in the field. "Are you planting?" "Yes, I'm planting." And he says it with a big smile on his face. You see him a few days later in the field. "Are you reaping?" "No, I'm fertilizing the seed, making sure it has the nutrients it needs to grow." You see him a few days later in the field. "Are you reaping?" He says, "No, I'm spraying to kill the weeds that will choke out the growth of the seeds if left to grow." You see him a few months later. "Are you reaping?" And with an even bigger smile on his face, he says, "Yes." Tilling the ground is about preparation. It's about understanding how seeds grow and what it takes to make it grow. It's knowing how seeds germinate and the kind of soil and nutrients that will make that possible. It's hard work. It's tedious work. It's work with no immediate return for our efforts, but farmers, at least good farmers, understand that. So they put their hand to the plow. They prepare the land. They till the land. They get the land ready for sowing. The result is in a few months, he will have plenty of food and he will reap the bounty of a sowing on good soil. Tilling the ground is hard work. It takes money and effort. And for some, it might seem like a waste of time. But those who ignore these necessary steps, they are done much quicker. It's a much easier way to farm, but the only problem is you starve, because nothing can grow in the soil you neglected to prepare. When it comes time to reap, your fields are barren. So the diligent, the one who wants to have a bountiful harvest, understands the importance of tilling the land or preparing the soil for the seed. What is true in farming is true about living a wise life, a godly life that bears spiritual fruit to the glory of God. But let's apply this tilling the land to marriage, to our relationships, to our friends. Paul puts it best, I think, in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. "If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith, so as to remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. If I give away all I have, and if I deliver up my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing." We can plan all those amazing things on untilled soil. It will not amount to anything. An untilled soil in this situation, I would associate with an unloving heart. An unloving, untilled heart leads to nothing. What are the things that we need to weed out from the soil, and what are the things that we need to add to the soil? Well, listen to Paul for the rest of that chapter. Love is patient. Make sure you add a lot of this to the soil. Love is kind. Make sure you add tons of this to the soil. Love does not envy. Make sure you weed that out. It does not boast. Make sure you weed that out. It is not arrogant. Make sure you weed that out. Love is not rude. Weed it out. It does not insist on its own way. Weed that out too. It is not irritable or resentful, so make sure you weed those things out. It does not rejoice at wrongdoings, so weed it out. But rejoice with the truth. Make sure you add lots of this. Love bears all things. Make sure you add this. It believes all things. It hopes all things. It endures all things. Make sure you add these things to the soil. May I add a couple more things to add and leave out? Forgiveness. Make sure you have lots of that in the soil of your marriage. Bitterness. Make sure you weed that out. Thoughtfulness. You got to add that too. So take heed how you sow, what you sow, and where you sow. He who tills his land will have plenty of food. You think this is too much? Well, listen to the rest of the verse. But he who follows worthless or empty pursuits will have plenty of poverty, empty, barren, loveless relationships. You reap what you sow. So guard your heart. Take heed how you sow, where you sow, and what you sow. May these truths guide us and guard us in the trenches of life as we seek to live our lives to the glory of God and the good of others. May God bless.